Hello, everyone, and welcome to ClearVoice. I'm John Monahan.
And I'm Christine Caswell. ClearVoice, the news magazine that brings the world into focus through a Catholic lens.
We begin at the Vatican, where the Apostleship of the See and the Pontifical Council of Migrants and Travelers recently met at a 3-day conference.
Among the topics discussed was the growing issue of piracy and how to prepare fishermen for this re-emerging problem. Catholic News Service has a look.
The Pontifical Council for Migrants and Travelers is in the middle of a 3-day meeting with the regional coordinators of the Apostleship for the Sea. Since 1899, the Apostleship has brought together Catholic ministers and volunteers with Catholics who work on the seas in the fishing, shipping, or cruise industries. People who work on the seas are often away from home for long periods of time and may work in very dangerous situations. One of the things that is being discussed at this meeting is what the Apostleship can do about a very old problem that has become new again, and that's piracy. The national director of the Italian Apostleship of the Sea made a presentation on how the Apostleship could prepare sailors and their families to face the possibility of being kidnapped by pirates and how they could minister to them once they were released. Ship owners are often willing to pay huge ransoms to get their vessels back, but the crew members and their families pay a steep price emotionally.
A Polish filmmaker has made a new documentary on Pope John Paul II. It'll be released after his beatification in early May. H2O News has the highlights.
In the desk drawer hall of the Vatican Film Library, an official presentation was held on the 9th of February of a new film about John Paul II, directed by Jaroslav Schmidt and with music by Michel Laurence. The film is the largest in the history of Polish documentary filmmaking.
Production lasted almost 4 years. The film was made in 12 countries on 4 continents. We interviewed more than 50 people. Obviously not all appear, because that would be impossible. We can say, though, that this is the largest Polish documentary in history.
The film, whose provisional title is Pilgrim Dressed in White, will be released a few weeks after the beatification of John Paul II. For this reason, it took on particular significance for the postulator of the cause of beatification, Monsignor Slavomir Oder.
What we can expect is a visual illustration of what transpired in the beatification process. His face, his actions speak to us, and I'm convinced that what we see may simply somehow become the visual language of His Holiness, that came out of his whole personality, from the way in which he encountered reality, in talking with people, in the way he reacted to different situations.
All present were very moved to see the film in its entirety. Among the various authorities who took part were the ambassador of Poland to the Holy See, Hanna Suszocha, Benedict XVI's personal secretary, Monsignor Alfred Zwereb, and Archbishop Józef Kowalczyk, the primate of Poland.
Vorrei sottolineare come il merito di questo film è di presentarci un'immagine viva.
I would like to stress the merit of this film is how it presents a vivid, true and poignant image of who John Paul II was in the Church and the world. And it seems to me that this movie reveals with great clarity that John Paul II was not only a priest of the Catholic Church, but was also a great leader on the path of humanity. That's why I wish this film much success, because it will help to rediscover an authentic picture of John Paul II. But I'd say it also helps us to rediscover how to live in the world today. I would also say this: this man also taught us how to die, as disciples of Jesus Christ. I am grateful to the director and producers of this film, because it allowed me to once again savor certain moments, enjoy them intimately in the heart, and to look ahead with confidence.
All my message finished.
And while we're looking at the movies, there's another new one that stars Anthony Hopkins and once again takes up the topic of exorcism, an issue receiving media attention. Father Bill and Father Chip will take a look at the rite on their show Spotlight here on Catholic TV in the coming weeks. For now, H2O News spoke with the author of the book that the rite is based on.
Hollywood is once again drawing inspiration from what is arguably the Church's most misunderstood practice: the rite of exorcism. The rite stars Anthony Hopkins. It's based on a book of the same name by American journalist Matt Ballio. In his research, Ballio participated in a course on exorcism offered by the Regina Apostolorum University in Rome.
I was very curious to hear that the church was still involved in exorcism, and not only that, but that they were training priests to become exorcists. I was fascinated by that. I didn't really know the first thing about exorcism myself, so when I got down there, I think my eyes were really opened up in a lot of ways.
It was at this course that Ballio met a parish priest from California who was studying to become an exorcist. Ballio observed him closely throughout his apprenticeship and recounts details of his training. The author also examines the experiences of those who claim they were possessed. Ballio looks at the causes of possession and how the church addresses the phenomenon today. He says that most cases of possession turn out to be a psychological illness, but in other cases, the associated paranormal phenomena can be difficult to explain.
The scientific community is pretty skeptical about this, and they should be. I mean, they have an approach that is based on looking at the various illnesses that they can sort of diagnose. Now, should they completely write off everything? Well, that's the big question.
The book, The Rite, was released in 2009. The film was released in North America on January 28th, with Europe to follow.
Coming up next on ClearVoice.
Another first for the Pope will be his presence during the traditional Via Crucis of World Youth Day. It will be held on Friday afternoon and feature important sculptures of the Spanish Holy Week, representing scenes from the Passion of the Christ.
Our family has spanned the centuries and the globe. With God's grace, we started hospitals to care for the sick. We established orphanages and helped the poor. We are the largest charitable organization on the planet, bringing comfort to those in need. We educate more children than any other institution. We developed the scientific method and founded the college system. We defend the dignity of human life and uphold marriage. Guided by the Holy Spirit, we compiled the Bible. We are transformed by sacred scripture and sacred tradition, which have guided us for 2,000 years. We are the Catholic Church. With over 1 billion in our family, sharing in the sacraments and fullness of the Christian faith. Jesus started our church when he said to Peter, the first pope, "You are rock, and upon this rock I will build my church." So if you've been away from the Catholic Church, we invite you to take another look. Visit CatholicsComeHome.org today. We are Catholic. Welcome home.
Catholic teens across the country continue with their fundraisers and preparations for World Youth Day, taking place in Madrid, Spain this August.
The Pope's agenda for World Youth Day is now known. He'll arrive in Madrid on August 18th.
Rome Reports had a chance to talk with the general coordinator about some of the places and the events the Pope will be joining in while he's in Spain.
Benedict XVI will spend 4 days in Madrid and will meet with academics, seminarians, and young religious. He will also visit a center for the disabled. These are some of the new developments released in the final agenda for the Pope during World Youth Day 2011 next August. The Pope will arrive in the capital of Spain on Thursday, the 18th of August. There he will be received at the airport by the King and Queen of Spain. During the welcoming ceremony for the youth, Benedict XVI will pass through the arches of the central Puerta de Alcalá while being accompanied by young people from across the globe. On Friday, the 19th of August, the Pope will travel to the monastery of El Escorial, where he will meet with academics and young religious. On Friday morning, we plan to meet with young women in the monastery of El Escorial, so that the Pope can address all religious from all congregations and institutes of consecrated life. He'll be able to greet them and have a brief meeting. Another first for the Pope will be his presence during the traditional Via Crucis of World Youth Day. It will be held on Friday afternoon and feature important sculptures of the Spanish Holy Week, representing scenes from the Passion of the Christ. On Saturday morning, the Pope will hold official meetings and speak with seminarians from around the world. In the Almudena Cathedral, the Pope will meet with seminarians from across the world, and of course will have the opportunity to speak with them about vocation in the priesthood. We know that the World Youth Days can recruit many youth to the priesthood. And in the afternoon, the Pope will visit the San Jose Institute Foundation, the center that cares for people with disabilities, and the Order of Brothers Hospitallers of St. John of God. After this, he will head to the Cuatro Vientos Aerodrome. which will host the main events of World Youth Day. On Sunday, May 21st, the Pope will conclude the gathering with a Mass and will then announce the next city to host the event. Before returning to Rome, Benedict XVI will meet with about 20,000 volunteers to thank them for their help and cooperation.
In the West Roxbury neighborhood of Boston, a fundraiser took place to help a well-known shelter for women in need. Rosie's Place has helped thousands of women for more than 3 decades. Founder Kip Turnan and her small army of volunteers train guests at the Boston shelter in job skills, prepare them for their GEDs, and help them get back on their feet. Christine recently had the honor of being the MC at one of their recent events and spoke with Kip about the need for a place like Rosie's.
I'm Christine Caswell, and it is my great pleasure to be here tonight to welcome you to the annual dinner in West Roxbury to benefit Rosie's Place.
I just think there's such goodness in people's hearts, really. The volunteerism, out of the Friends of Rosie's Place in the Parkway, 8,500 dinners every year to folks who need it the most. Also, the vacation house they have on Sunset, and is so helpful to them. And, there's goodness in people, and this shows by this event and other events they have during the course of the year to help raise money, because don't forget, Rosie's Place does not take any public money at all. It's all about the goodness of people's hearts to make Rosie Place what it is today. And we have to all remember that. It's one of the corporal works of mercy. And that we're here tonight to help the poor, help the folks who need the help the most.
18 and a half years ago, after a very comfortable life, I became homeless. And it was my blessed moment to be connected with Rosie's Place.
I think you'll agree it's absolutely amazing how Rosie's has grown over the years. The women of Rosie's and all of us owe a debt of gratitude to Kip Tiernan. Kip likes to say it all started, as Kip will say, with inviting women in for a pot of coffee and good old-fashioned conversation. But you and I both know that the real reason the first guests walked in the front door was because Kip made them feel so welcome and so comfortable.
We have the same kind of commitment that these folks do in West Roxbury, a 30-year commitment. They didn't just come in on a Sunday afternoon, bring oranges and go. They've been with us for 30 years. They're absolutely devoted to the women at Rosie's Place. And I think that they've given themselves over there. They're kind of the cutting edge, I think, of what faith really, really and truly is.
I think when I first became homeless, I questioned the fact that I was brought up a Catholic, went to Mass every Sunday, every holy day, and my faith began to waver a little bit because I wondered, how did this happen to me? Why did this happen to me? And I think there is always a reason for everything happening.
Just because you made a mistake doesn't have to be a mistake forever. We have to reach out and grab that person, bring them into a program, give them to see them why they should be doing things differently in their lives, get away from the addictions they might have, or the mental health issues they have, get the health care they need, and then we train them for a job. And it's work on the boss. I know Rosie's Place does a great job of that.
I live my life as close to the edge as possible, actually. I kind of selected the edge as my personal geography. Others aren't that lucky. With the folks out there and the women who come to Rosie's Place, they didn't have that choice. They were on the edge. And a lot of them were maybe falling off when we met. And I am forever grateful to them for being able to be a part of their life. I mean, I love it. I love them. I adore them.
And as Boston Mayor Tom Menino said, Rosie's Place serves up to 80,000 meals a year to women in need. A grocery program is also offered to help with nutritional food for guests, as well as emergency, short-term, and permanent housing programs. The mayor and Mrs. Angela Menino are longtime supporters of the inner city shelter. That fundraiser was put on by the West Roxbury Friends of Rosie's Place, a group committed to helping the mission Kip Tiernan started years ago with a simple cup of coffee, inviting a homeless woman in for some conversation. From that celebration in Boston to a celebration in Rome now, Vatican Radio is marking its 80th anniversary. A press conference was held recently to detail what is being done to commemorate this event.
Vatican Radio is 80 years old. It was the idea of Guglielmo Marconi, who created it on behalf of Pope Pius XI. The first radio signal was sent February 12, 1931. Many initiatives to celebrate its 80 years were presented at a press conference around the world in 80 years. Vatican spokesperson Federico Lombardi told the press that a commemorative exhibition is being held at the Vatican museums to help tourists, scholars, and pilgrims who every day cross the principal atrium of the papal galleries to discover or rediscover the papal broadcaster. The main window of the entrance has been personalized with each of the languages of the more than 40 language editions of Vatican Radio. Among the objects on display are electronic devices from different eras. Moreover, the evolution of technology and its relation with the popes and the life of the Church is documented. Other initiatives for the anniversary include a major multimedia exhibit from Vatican Radio and a soon-to-be-published book on the radio station's history.
The Vatican statistics for the Church are starting to come out, and some of the results are promising. Despite numbers of priests decreasing here in North America, the number of priests worldwide has increased. Here's Rome Reports with more.
The number of Catholic priests has increased for the first time since 1999. At the same time, the number of those leaving the priesthood has decreased. According to the latest figures released by the Vatican, the total number of priests has grown by 1.4% over the last decade. The Catholic Church's Central Bureau of Statistics released the information based on data from December 31, 2009. The total number of priests is 410,593. More than half, 275,542, are diocesan, while the others are members of religious congregations. The area seeing the greatest increase is Africa, with numbers up by 38.5%. Next is Asia, with an increase of 30.5%. On the other hand, numbers have gone down by 14% in North America, 9% in Europe, and 4.6% in Oceania. Most priests, 46.5%, are European, followed by Americans at 29.9%, then Asians at 13.5%, Africans at 9.9%, and Oceania representing 1.5% of the total number of priests.
The deportations of Haitians by the U.S. government resumed in December after they were suspended due to the Haitian earthquake. Two bishops, in a joint letter, have asked for the deportations to stop and have cited the slow recovery effort, disease, and civil unrest as reasons. CNS's Chaz Muth has more.
The U.S. Department of Homeland Security has resumed deportations to Haiti, and two U.S. bishops are urging the agency to stop. The U.S. government suspended the deportation of Haitians last year following the devastating earthquake that rocked the Caribbean nation. Coadjutor Archbishop Jose Gomez of Los Angeles and Bishop Gerald Kakanis of Tucson, Arizona, wrote Homeland Security Secretary Janet Napolitano a letter saying now is not the time to resume deportations to Haiti because the poorest nation in the Americas continues to experience civil unrest, cholera, and slow earthquake recovery.
On the deportations, we think Haiti has to really get back to near health before they should resume again, and that could be several years from now.
The bishop's letter noted that one of the first 27 deportees sent from the United States has already died from cholera, which he contracted after his return to Haiti. For Catholic News Service, I'm Chaz Muth.
Coming up next on ClearVoice.
Snowpocalypse, Snowmageddon, or for our Catholic audience, snow eschatology, or esnowcatology. Why I used to love winter?
Catholic TV, America's Catholic television network, is honored to present the Mass from the Basilica of the National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception in Washington, D.C., every Saturday at 7 p.m. and 11:30 p.m. Mass from the National Shrine, America's Catholic Church, is on Catholic TV, America's Catholic television network.
John, as we know, it's awards time, and the hype is escalating on who has the leading edge on the Oscars.
That's right, Christine. And Father Bill Kelly's focus this week is to sift through all of that hype and take a closer look at the true meaning of movie making.
My first memory of the Oscars is when one of the winners didn't even show up. Marlon Brando had won for Best Lead Actor for The Godfather in 1972, and in the spirit of the times, he used it as a moment to protest. A young Native American woman came in his place in full tribal garb. I was pretty young still, and I was very confused. So, I approached the Oscars with mixed feelings. It's a lot of hype, like the Super Bowl. I love the movies, but I'd be hard-pressed to tell you who last year's winners were without some type of a scorecard. I haven't watched a full broadcast of the show in years. Who really has 3 hours to kill? But I am intrigued by the hosting team-up this year of Anne Hathaway and James Franco. They're both bright and able reps of a whole new generation of actors, so we'll see how they do as MCs. So as you can see, I'm all over the map when it comes to the Oscars. It's a year of kings and ballerinas and boxers, moms and daughters, cowboys and free spirits. Some will be honored, and others will have to start begging for new projects on Monday. But that's showbiz. So I guess my question is, do the Oscars matter? On one hand, yes. Every industry likes to honor its own. It's a good human instinct. But in the big picture, in the scheme of salvation, not so much. What's important is that persons give themselves fully to their art, to their craft, and doing that they reveal something about life. There are one or two moments from this year's movies that really have done that for me. They deepened how I think about people and how I think about God's love for us. And isn't that the bottom line? St. Paul says to run the race, to keep the goal ahead of us. But the true prize is Christ. Anything less than Him is mere decoration for the mantelpiece. So come and join us on Spotlight this week when we look at the Academy Awards. But we already know how to pick the real winner.
And you can join Father Bill and Father Chip Hines every week on Spotlight right here on Catholic TV. We now have a look at the many significant events that have happened this week in the Church.
This week in the Church on February 18th, 1564, Michelangelo Buonarroti, better known as simply Michelangelo, dies in Rome. He was 88 years old. Michelangelo was an Italian painter, sculptor, and architect. Just a few of his works include the Sistine Chapel, the Last Judgment, and the Statue of David. On February 20th, 1985, the Irish government rules against the Catholic Church and, after much debate, allows sale of non-medical contraceptives. Items could now be sold to people over 18 at pharmacies without a prescription. Contraceptives could also be found at doctors' offices, hospitals, and family planning clinics. However, it was still illegal to advertise contraceptives, and the use of the birth control pill remained restricted. On February 21, 1431, Joan of Arc appears before her judges for the first time to be tried for heresy. She was not allowed legal counsel and was kept in the castle of Rouen, a secular prison. She was also not allowed to attend Mass. On February 23, 1970, the Holy Eucharist was distributed by women for the first time in a Roman Catholic service, reversing the Code of Canon Law from 1917, which stated that women were not allowed to distribute communion. And those are just some of the events that happened this week in the church.
Well, Christine, got a question for you. Have you had enough of the winter yet?
I have. I've broken 2 shovels. Enough.
I know, no more shoveling, right? Well, that seems to be the big question here in New England and in other cold parts of the country.
On this week's A Word with Weber, Matt Weber takes a closer look at winter and why it seems to be, for many, a love-hate relationship.
Winter. It used to be my favorite season. No longer the case anymore after this past year's snowpocalypse, snowmageddon, or for our Catholic audience, snow eschatology, or esnowcatology. Why I used to love winter? Perhaps it was youthful memories of constructing angels and men from this cold yet malleable substance that just freely floated from the heavens. On these such days, we instantly became architects. Kings of mountains, reckless warriors with unlimited ammunition that never really hurt, but just stung or cooled the face. It was a time when snowflakes were not just cold, frozen raindrops, but they represented beauty and individualism, community, grace, and elegance. None were alike. Tasty treats for the tongue, then the tummy. Now I think I'm officially an old person. One of those people growing up who I never thought I would actually become, who didn't like it when it snowed, or complained about shoveling, skidding, slickness, and sleet. It came quicker than I expected, thanks to Snowcatology 2011. Now I'm sure snow and winter will one day find favor again, likely on hot days in the summer, as my pale Irish skin cringes at sun rays and prays for days like today. And I guess that's what you have to hold on to in life. Look for the peaks when in the valleys, the light when all is dark, knowing faith is on the horizon even when in the deepest of despair. So if you're in New England, or the Midwest, Northwestern Canada, Central Canada, the Mid-Atlantic, or really anywhere that has been completely whitened and frozen during this trying, cold, heavy winter, buck up. Spring is nearby. And to all of you who have no clue what I'm talking about because you live in the Caribbean and stream Catholic TV live while sipping grapefruit juices in cabanas on white sand beaches near clear blue waters, continue to live the good life so that I may too, vicariously.
And to our viewers in places like Fresno, California and the Virgin Islands, we really are not jealous of you.
Not at all, huh?
Just a little bit, maybe.
She wants a plane ticket to Florida, I think.
ASAP. We're so glad you joined us this week. I'm Christine Caswell. Thanks for spending some time with us.
And I'm John Monahan, and we hope to see you right back here next week for another edition of Clear Voice.